Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle a term you have probably seen just about everywhere, but might not be 100% clear on: cloud hosting. So let's break it all down.
Right? I mean, it pops up in ads, you see it on tech blogs, maybe your web developer even threw the term around. It sounds super important, it sounds kind of futuristic, but what in the world does it actually mean for your website?
Okay, so let's cut right through the noise. We're going to get to the heart of what cloud hosting is, how it really works, and this is the most important part, we're going to help you figure out if it's something you actually need.
So first things first, before we can get into all the pros and the cons, we have to get the basic idea down. What exactly is this cloud everyone's talking about?
Okay, here's the core of it. With old school hosting, your website literally lives on one single computer, one server somewhere. But with cloud hosting, your site is spread out across a whole bunch of servers that are all connected and working together.
Yeah, a really great way to picture it is like a team of computers. It's not just one lone machine doing all the heavy lifting. They're all networked, all sharing the load to keep your website online and running smoothly.
And you know what? This is where the magic really happens. If one of those servers in the network has a problem, if it hiccups or goes offline, it's not a disaster. The other computers in the team just instantly pick up the slack. Your website stays online, and your visitors, they don't notice a thing.
To really get the difference here, let's use a super simple analogy that makes this all crystal clear. Just think about web hosting like finding a place to live.
So, most people start their journey with shared hosting. This is basically like renting an apartment in a massive building. It's cheap, which is great, but it's also crowded. You're sharing everything, the power, the plumbing, all the utilities, with hundreds of other people. So if your neighbor decides to throw a massive party, well, you're going to feel the effects.
Now, the next step up is usually a VPS, a virtual private server. This is like you've upgraded from an apartment to renting an entire floor of their building. You've got way more space, more control, and your neighbors' parties don't bother you anymore. But, and this is key, you're still in that one single building. If the whole building has a power outage, your floor goes dark just like everyone else's.
And this is cloud hosting. It's not like being in one building at all. It's like you own multiple homes in totally different neighborhoods. If one of your homes has a power outage, no sweat. You just seamlessly switch over to another one. You are literally never left in the dark. That's the power of this distributed network.
So let's just lay this all out side by side. Look at performance. You go from a shared setup to a dedicated space with a VPS, all the way to a distributed network with the cloud. Now look at the next two rows, scalability and reliability. You see that trend, right? With cloud hosting, they jump up to high and very high. That is a massive difference, especially for a site that's growing.
Okay, so we know it's powerful, we know it's reliable, but let's dig into the really good stuff. What are the big advantages you get when you go with a cloud setup?
What's so cool is how these four things are all connected. You get that superior performance because the cloud can just pull in more power from the network to handle, say, a sudden rush of visitors. That directly leads to high reliability because there's no single machine that can bring your site down. Then you've got scalability. As you grow, you can add more resources with just a click, no downtime. And finally, security is better because your site is in its own little bubble, safe from what anyone else is doing.
Of course, nothing is perfect, right? To give you the whole story, we have to be real about the potential downsides. So let's do a quick reality check.
So here are the trade-offs you got to keep in mind. First, the price. It's almost always going to be more expensive than that basic shared hosting plan. You're paying a premium for that power. Second, it can be a little complex. A lot of providers make it easy, but some setups might require a bit of technical know-how. And finally, it might just be overkill. I mean, if you're running a small personal blog with a handful of visitors, you probably don't need this kind of horsepower. At least, not yet.
All right, we've laid out the good and the things to watch out for. So let's get down to it. How do you decide if moving to the cloud is the right call for you and your website?
This really makes the choice pretty clear. If you're on the left side of the screen, running a small blog, a personal portfolio, you can probably wait, no rush. But if you're on the right, think about it. If you're running an online store during a huge sale, a traffic spike could crash a shared server and cost you a ton of money. Cloud hosting just handles it. That's why if you have a business site, an e-commerce store, or you're managing sites for clients, it's something you should absolutely be looking at.
You know, when you strip away all the technical terms, all the jargon, it really boils down to one simple thing. The single biggest benefit isn't about servers or networks. It's about peace of mind.
It's the confidence of just knowing that your site is going to stay fast, even if you suddenly get a flood of traffic. Knowing that it's secure in its own environment. And knowing that it will stay online, working for you 24/7, no matter what's happening behind the scenes.
So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. Choosing your hosting isn't just about what you need right now. It's about setting yourself up for success down the road. So the real question you should be asking yourself isn't just, do I need cloud hosting today? It's, is my website ready to grow tomorrow?